Warning. Spoilers ahead for Georgie and Mandy's First Marriage, Episode 5. Surprisingly, Mary's version in Georgie and Mandy's First Marriage is worse than her iterations in Young Sheldon, and even The Big Bang Theory. Chuck Lorre's sitcom universe lives on CBS with Montana Jordan and Emily Osment's series. Despite its popularity, Young Sheldon was canceled because of the continuity. There was initial uproar about its end, but its story essentially continues with Georgie and Mandy's first marriage. The new show may now be fully focused on its titular character and their life with the McAllisters. But the Coopers still have a presence, including Mary, who has appeared twice now. Georgie and Mandy's First Marriage picks up a couple of months after its prequel wrapped up, and when Mary and Mima first appeared, it was to visit Georgie and Mandy in their new mobile home. Several weeks later, and the couple moves back to the McAllisters later, the Cooper matriarch re-emerges in Thanksgiving to spend the holiday with the franchise's new main family. It takes some convincing for Mary to celebrate the occasion, but despite her rather limited appearance, she acts worse in Georgie and Mandy's First Marriage than in both Young Sheldon and The Big Bang Theory. Mary's behavior in Georgie and Mandy's First Marriage's Thanksgiving is unacceptable. Georgie tries to keep the Coopers together, and Mary makes it difficult. When Mary visited Georgie and Mandy in Georgie and Mandy's First Marriage Episode 1, there were already signs of her moving towards her overly religious iteration in The Big Bang Theory. That said, she was still reasonable for most of it. In Thanksgiving, however, Georgie and Mandy's First Marriage shows how worse the Cooper matriarch has become, particularly in terms of being a mother to her remaining Texas-based children. When Georgie brings up the idea of celebrating Thanksgiving, she gets adamant that she isn't doing anything about it. Mary's son attempts to convince her, but she becomes defensive and points out that she's putting her foot down as she puts herself first this time. This is such an odd revelation, considering how she never really provided the emotional support that Georgie and Missy needed in the Young Sheldon finale, on the heels of losing their father. If anything, she left Georgie to take care of the logistics of George's funeral, while she forced Missy to get baptized without even talking to her about the matter and how she was coping with grief. Why Georgie and Mandy's First Marriage exposes the worst parts of Mary. Sheldon is not around for her to take care of. In Young Sheldon, Mary was more mellow in her religious beliefs, which made it easier to empathize with her in certain instances. In The Big Bang Theory, Sheldon's mother was judgmental, racist, and sexist. She used her religion to justify her behavior. Her saving grace, however, was her unwavering love of Sheldon. It helped that compared to Leonard's mom, Beverly, the Cooper matriarch was actually better. That said, without Sheldon in Georgie and Mandy's First Marriage, it's difficult to see Mary's motherly side, and not being able to do that further exposes her flaws. Seeing how Mary's behavior impacts Georgie is much more heartbreaking to see. Despite only having 5 episodes, Georgie and Mandy's First Marriage has established how difficult life is for the firstborn Cooper kid. Mary's relationship with Missy has always been strained, and it became much more difficult in the wake of George's death. The pair barely has any interactions in Georgie and Mandy's First Marriage, even as they finally share the screen in Thanksgiving. That said, based on Missy's comments, it doesn't seem like there's any improvement on that front. Beyond that, however, seeing how Mary's behavior impacts Georgie is much more heartbreaking to see. Despite only having 5 episodes, Georgie and Mandy's First Marriage has established how difficult life is for the firstborn Cooper kid. Mary is a grieving wife, but she's also a mother in Georgie and Mandy's First Marriage. Georgie and Missy both need their mother. Understandably, losing a husband like Mary did is difficult. However, she isn't the only one who has to deal with grief throughout this very difficult time. Sheldon is far away, but both Georgie and Missy both need her as a mother. At this point, it does seem like the remaining Cooper kids have also lost her. When the boy genius was still in Texas, Mary dedicated the majority of his time and effort to him, essentially ignoring her other kids, One would think that now is the time to make up for that. Both George and Missy found ways to cope in young Sheldon about their mom's obvious bias. After the Cooper family tragedy of George's sudden death, not only do they have to deal with their own difficulties, but they also have to look after their mother.